Let's put this first one up. Okay. So this was actually one that I just kind of said the collective because so many people responded with this. And this is definitely one that a lot of people struggle with. So let's dig into this one. So, how to stay spiritual and remember all of my spiritual teachings when people are negative to me and when the world shows me contrast to my inner beliefs. So, yeah, this is definitely something that a lot of people are going through. What's really happening when someone is negative to us and we feel like we're thrown off of our spiritual game? What's really happening is we're going into fight or flight, fight, flight, or freeze. That's what's happening. Usually, when you go into fight, flight, or freeze, the ego perceives that there is a threat to your identity. So, let's say that you have this new identity where you're newly awakened and you've kind of stepped into this higher state of conscious understanding of the world around you, and so you feel like these lowly 3D asleep people, which is just spiritual ego. They're not on your level, and so they're throwing you into low vibe. Or let's say that you've done the healing, you've been doing the inner work for a while, and you feel you've reached this new level of emotional intelligence and spiritual maturity, and then someone is negative to you, and you go into fight or flight. Well, that identity, that spiritual identity, that spiritual ego feels threatened. This is why you go into fight, flight, or freeze when someone is being negative or even toxic, or when you're seeing a contrast in your physical experience that is different to what your inner new understanding or newfound concept of spirituality and the nature of reality is. There's a threat to that new identity. So the ego throws you into fight or flight. And we all know what happens, right? The reptilian brain that is responsible for reaction and getting you out of a threatening situation by either defending or running or freezing to try to reassess the situation. The reptilian brain takes over and you end up reacting instead of responding. So let's take a very practical approach to solving this problem. Instead of all the esotericism, let's take a more down to earth, grounded, practical approach. If we know that we've got this new spiritual understanding, we have these new spiritual teachings and techniques that we're using, but then we forget all of that when someone is negative or toxic to us, or we see something in our physical experience that is a contrast to our newfound belief. If we know that we're going into fight or flight, what we can do is to stop ourselves from going into fight or flight in the first place. Well, how do we do that practically? We can do what I like to call the 3-second rule. Okay. So give yourself 3 seconds to just step back into the observer state of mind. Now, the observer state of mind is going to allow you to respond instead of react. So you're getting out of the reptilian brain and you're staying in that higher state of consciousness. So the first thing that you want to do when you step into that 3-second observer mind is check yourself. What did you do? Were you coming from a disingenuous place because you didn't think that this person was going to meet your needs if you were honest from the beginning? Were you trying to be emotionally manipulative, or were you holding some resentment towards this person? You know, I see a lot of these I see a lot of these memes. Oh, how they react to you is a reflection of them and it's never you. And all of this bubblegum, guys, stay away from this bubblegum spirituality nonsense. It's all of this. These are the people that are obsessed with the light and scared of the darkness. Source is also the darkness. This whole thing that it's always the other person's fault. Oh, how they react to you. It's a reflection of them. It has nothing to do. No, that's BS. No, you may have been an a-hole. You may have just might be having a bad day. Maybe someone else was mean to you and you couldn't take it out on them. So you're taking it out on this person. Or maybe you just had a fight with your spouse or someone cut you off in traffic. Maybe you had a car accident and you got to work late, and there's a myriad of things that actually makes it your fault and not theirs. But then there's also the fact that, hey, you may have had a great meditation and you're in a high vibe, and you've healed that trauma and you're coming from a place of wholeness and completeness and authenticity, and this person actually is reflecting what is inside of them and has nothing to do with you. This is balance. The universe loves balance. If you see these spirituality channels that go to one end of the extreme, that's out of balance, and that's not real spirituality. Because if you're always pointing the finger, oh, it's always a reflection of them and it's never you, well, then you're never changing. If you never change, then you never get better, you never evolve, you never grow, because it's always the other person. It's always a reflection of them, it's never you. This is not spirituality at all. It's bubblegum nonsense to make you feel good. So, stay away from those types of memes and channels. But you know look at yourself first. Check your person. Is there a history that you have with this other person? Are you holding some hurt and resentment that has nothing to do with this present moment, but you've been carrying that, and that's how that's spewing out as venom? Or are you worried about your image with this person? Are you worried about how you're going to look? All of this is ego, by the way. There's a perception from the ego that something is going to be taken away, or your needs are not going to be met, or you're going to be perceived in some way that doesn't fit your image, right? So check yourself first, and then you once you can see whether it is or is not you, then you can see whether it is or is not the other person. And because you've taken one step back from the ego, you can see if this person is coming from an egoic state. Maybe they had something bad happen to them. Maybe there is something inside of them that is reflecting out that has nothing to do with you. And this is where you get the opportunity to choose between love, which is your source self, whole, perfect, and complete. Source is whole, perfect, and complete, and you are source, having a physical experience. So this is your spiritual DNA, your source self responding in love, or responding through the ego, which is going to be in alignment with fear, scarcity, lack, competition. What are you in alignment? Where are you in alignment with fear? That's the first question when you step into that 3-second rule. And then, so if it is the other person, it's an act of sovereignty and honoring your divinity to fearlessly speak your authentic truth and defend those boundaries. There's this concept that if you're spiritual, then you're supposed to be, passive and, meek and turn the other cheek and all of that. No, that's dishonoring your divinity. When you set your boundaries and you defend those boundaries, you're honoring your worth, which is an act of self-love. Love is a dominant frequency of source. So defending your boundaries is a spiritual act in and of itself, because it's an act of self-love. So, we got to get away from these preconceived notions that spirituality is just, oh, we're meek and we're just a doormat and we just let people walk all over us because that's the spiritual thing. No, that's not the spiritual thing to do, because you're not honoring your divinity and your self-worth. Spirituality is about honoring your divinity, your self-worth, and your sovereignty. And sovereign beings defend their boundaries, period. End of discussion. So what do we do when we encounter someone being negative, or toxic, employ the 3-second rule. Step back into the observer mind. Check yourself first. Was I out of alignment? Was I in alignment with fear somewhere? And if you were not, maybe this person is clearly in alignment with fear or ego or unhealed trauma or whatever. And then you respond authentically, not in a malicious way, but in a way that defends your boundaries, and you speak up for those boundaries. Hey, this is unacceptable. And boundaries, I want to be clear, because there's a misconception about boundaries. A lot of people think boundaries is you're kind of putting up this wall and stopping communication. Boundaries are just your rules of engagement. These are the rules that you accept for interacting and communicating with you in your space. You're not putting up a wall, you're just setting the rules. And if people can't follow the rules, then they need to get out of your space. That's all setting boundaries is really. So, and when you're seeing something that is contrast to your inner knowledge, it's giving you an opportunity to just kind of do a double check on your internal frequency and see where are you in alignment with what you're seeing. See if there is a reflection going on there. The universe is your mirror. And it also gives you an opportunity to apply alchemy. We talk about alchemy quite a bit on this channel. Alchemy, turning lead into gold, lead in alignment with fear, gold in alignment with love. This is where so you've got one frequency, the source frequency. This is like the Hermetic principle of polarity, is one frequency. On this end is love, the source frequency. This is fear, the ego frequency. And there's no point on that line where you magically go from source to ego. There's different variations or different degrees along that line in either direction. So to do alchemy, you're taking that higher frequency in alignment with love. And the definition of love is to take something as yourself, because when you say, oh, that's not me, you're practicing internal division. You're putting up a wall, and you're not accepting that aspect of yourself, which is a form of self-hate. So we don't want to do that. We integrate, we don't deny. And so you take that higher frequency of love and you start debunking that fear. And because it's the same frequency by default, the more you debunk that fear, the more it goes toward the love side of this frequency here, right? So that's how you do alchemy. I'm not real sure how I got off on that. Oh, when the physical shows you contrast to your inner belief, see where you're in alignment with that contrast. You may have to dig deep, but that also puts you into more of an allowing frequency, which is an expanding receptive frequency, instead of a closed off resistant frequency, which is a stagnant frequency. The universe loves to expand. So put yourself into that expanding frequency. Check where there's a resonance within to what you're seeing, and then that gives you an opportunity to practice alchemy and raise that frequency. So a lot of people had that question. Did that answer that question of how to respond to negative people when you're on your spiritual game? Hey, Joan, good seeing you. Glad you could make it. Market Scraper. I will try to respond more today instead of react. Yes. Yeah. When you're reacting, you're in the ego mind. And that's not to make an enemy of the ego. We don't make an enemy of the ego. We're just aware of the ego. And it's usually better to respond, because when you respond, you have more information than simply reacting. Teresa Ross, how are you, my friend? Good seeing you in another live. I appreciate the consistent ones that show up to these lives. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. Oh my God, love. How can anyone forget that username? I absolutely love it. Welcome, my friend. Stardust Diamond, there she is. Good seeing you again. I love my regulars. Lou Kaiser. Hi, Lou Kaiser. I don't think I've seen you before. Welcome. Appreciate you. Martha Evans. So, Martha, you were one of the ones that asked that question, how to stay spiritual when people are plucking on that last nerve. So, hopefully, I answered that question for you. And before let's see, I got some other banners here. Before we get on to the next question, real quick, just to let you guys know, I did extend the special discounted price on the digital course. So again, the digital course, it's the same as working one-on-one with me, just in an online video lesson format. And week 1 is how to meditate. Week 2 is self-worth, healing. Week 3, self-love, healing. Week 4, shadow work. And week 5 is inner child work. You fix those 5 things, you're ahead of the game. A lot of your problems just fix themselves. And then also, if anyone wants to do one-on-one, I bought a text number for this. Here we go. Yeah, so if anyone wants to do the one-on-one Zoom coaching, if you're in the US or Canada, you can send a text to this 800 number. We'll do a quick discovery call. Anywhere other than the US and Canada, just check the description. You can go to the coaching options section in the description, and then just click discovery call, and we'll do it that way. And follow me on Instagram. All right, that's enough of the self-promotion. All righty. Shiva Diva. Hey, Shiva Diva, how are you, my friend? I'm new, but plan on being a regular. I appreciate that. You are more than welcome here, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. Heyoka says, take negativity as a chance to shine your light. It's an opportunity. Absolutely. I am allowed to be on your email list, please, so I can ask questions. Yeah, just check the description for the free meditation. As soon as you click that, it'll ask you for your email. You'll immediately get the guided meditation on abundance, and you'll automatically be put into the email list. And then we'll be email buddies. Andrea, greetings, David and Light Fam. Hey, guys. Hey, Andrea. I'm just listening in while working. Always a pleasure to learn from this platform. Awesome. We appreciate you, Andrea. All right. What is our... Oh, I missed one. Woodley, my man. What's up, Woodley? Haven't seen you in a while, buddy. I found that everyone is teaching me something about myself. Yes. When I feel the need to put up boundaries due to an interaction with someone, I know it's for a loving reason. Exactly. Yeah, that's for your highest good. Very it seems like you've had some coaching from Lightways before. You seem very highly spiritually evolved there, Woodley. Wow. Misty. Hey, Misty, I must have missed you. Good seeing you. First time I'm able to catch the live. Hi. Good seeing you. All righty. Okay, next biggest struggle. My biggest struggle is finding a partner after I've done the healing now, or after I've done the healing, because now I see how egotistical and narcissistic most men are. Even those in the spiritual community. Well, that would be spiritual ego. Yeah, if they're narcissists in the spiritual community, then that would be spiritual ego for sure. Okay, so my biggest struggle is finding a partner after I've done the healing, because now I see the egotistical and narcissistic traits. So let's kind of take a look at this comment. My biggest struggle is finding a partner. So words are spells. You just declared that as your truth, as your story. and that's going to mirror itself back to you. Now, that's not to discount what you've already gone through as far as trying to find a partner. Yes, it may be difficult, but this is the thing about the ego always wants control. And when the ego wants something and isn't able to seem to get it, the longer time goes on, the more the ego feels out of control because it hasn't gotten what it wants. And when the ego feels out of control, it feels like there's a threat to survival. The ego does not like being uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable is a threat to survival for the ego. So the longer you go and the more men that fit this story of yours, that they're egotistical and narcissistic, the more the ego has positive confirmation that it's hard to find someone on your spiritual level, and you're destined to be alone, or whatever the limiting belief may be. So one, we want to change our story, and I know that that's easier said than done, but you can start doing it. You don't necessarily need to believe it wholeheartedly right out of the gates, but the more that you say it, the more that new belief starts to fire as brand new, neurons in the brain, and you start making new connections that believe the new story. And you can just rewrite it any way you want. The new story may be, I am surprised at how many men are spiritually evolved, emotionally mature, and emotionally available. I'm always surprised by how awake these guys are, and none of them are narcissists. This is amazing. I can't believe it. I'm running into these people every day. Now, this may sound like a little bit of a word game right out of the gates, but again, words are spells. And when the words have beliefs behind them, now you're starting to change your reality, because you're going to resonate with a different parallel reality where you're meeting men that are not egotistical and narcissistic. So the first thing to do is change the story and step into those baby steps of saying aloud that story every day, all day, until there's enough belief behind it to where it starts to have the effect of changing that reality. So one, change the story. Number two, this energy of finding, needing to find. The problem with needing to find is it keeps you in the energy of needing to find. You're staying in the frequency of the absence of it because you're simultaneously saying, I don't have it. So this is one of the things about the spiritual path. And you did notice that now that you're doing the healing, what healing, the only thing healing really is it's healing your belief that you're not whole, perfect, and complete. It's getting you back to your source self. You actually are whole, perfect, and complete, because source is whole, perfect, and complete, and you are source having a physical experience. But the ego is going to tell you different things because the ego is in charge of survival. The ego is going to say, well, this thing happened to you when you were a kid. And when that thing happened, it pretty much showed you that you don't have any worth, or it showed you that you can be abandoned, or it showed you that when you speak up and use your voice, you are punished. So you must not be that significant. The ego, and this is why we do the healing. The healing is to heal the ego's false perception of survival. So when you do that healing and your subconscious identity is whole, perfect, and complete, you understand that you are whole, perfect, and complete, then there's not so much of a drive to find, because you don't feel incomplete on a subconscious level. Now, the conscious level, if you're doing the work, it's very easy to say, oh, I'm whole, perfect, and complete, But if it's not in the heart, if it's not in the subconscious, there's a little bit of a disconnect there, which is why a daily meditative practice of going inward, aligning with that whole, perfect, and complete frequency of source, and doing the healing that perverts that understanding or that understanding of your wholeness, perfection, and completeness is healed, you start to walk in those shoes of whole, perfect, and complete. And then what you attract is healed people. You attract people with a sense of completeness that are not trying to get something from you at the expense of you, right? So when you're healing really changes your subconscious identity to whole, perfect, and complete. um, you're not going to be in the frequency of struggling to find. You're not going to be in the frequency of searching outside. You're not going to be in the frequency of needing to find that life partner. Your life partner will find you. When the flower blooms, the bees come, you know. And that's not to say that you're not a blooming flower already. It just means that there's a level of wholeness and completeness. There's an understanding of wholeness and completeness that you haven't reached yet, that isn't allowing you to share the same space with this life partner. And you don't want to share the same space with someone that you've attracted from an incomplete frequency anyway, because they're probably going to, it's probably going to be someone that has a bunch of unhealed trauma because you're on that frequency. This is why I say healing trauma fixes everything, because it gets you more in alignment with your true source self. And since source is everything and it's the dominant frequency of everything, that you're winning. You're winning at life, basically, when you step into your source self. It's the ego that perverts that inner perception and messes everything up for you. So I would say understand that you already are it. Understand that you already are it. Understand that you are whole, perfect, and complete, and do any healing that you need to do that perverts that concept for you. And that will get you out of the frequency of searching. Searching is a lack energy. It's a scarcity energy, which just attracts more lack and scarcity and keeps you in that searching energy, looking for energy, trying to find energy. When you feel whole, perfect, and complete, like you don't need anything to complete you, that's when everything comes to you. So I didn't write the rules. That's just that's just how it works, because everything is frequency. And I know that it's frustrating because we all want to say, well, daggone it, how can I want something? Because as soon as I want something, then I'm immediately repelling it because I'm saying that I don't want it. Well, you become it. You can't keep anything long term that you're not willing to become vibrationally. Yes, you can manipulate energy in the short term to get things, but if there's no vibrational congruence as your identity as that thing, then that's going to be a short-term thing that's going to leave your space because there's no vibrational congruence there. So you have to become it so that you're not in the frequency of searching for it, and then it will find you, because it's birds of a feather. It's a vibrational match. Belinda, are you in the comments? Did that resonate for you? I don't know if Belinda's here or not. I told her I was going to answer her email. Let's see, what do we got here? We got stuff coming through. Lou Kaiser says, narcissists have taught me more about my weakness than anyone else. Yeah, they're your greatest teacher. So if you're in that codependency frequency, then they're going to really trigger all of that trauma, typically abandonment trauma, that makes you believe you need to get validation from the narcissist. And that's going to cause you to learn a lot about yourself, typically a lot about your childhood, where all that came from. It's an amazing healing journey. Deep Woods says, ha ha ha, Lightways is my fave ways. Thank you, brother. A great guy. Couldn't do it without you. Namaste, my friend. Mona Lisa. Hi, Mona Lisa. How are you, my friend? I don't think I've seen you here before. I appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by. Heyoka says, amen. Amen. Andrea says 100%. Emily 234. Hi, Emily. I think I've seen you in my comments before. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. Hi, much love to all. Great to catch the Lightways live on a rainy day from England. Yeah, rain seems to be the thing for the day. Rugby car park. Rugby is fun to watch. Tough sport. Let's see here. Struggling to find if I have fear of intimacy. I'm going to circle back to the questions after I get the questions of the emails out of the way. We got Hair8868. Hey, thanks so much for your knowledge. I've learned so much from you. I appreciate you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. All right. What is next on the list? David, I thought spirituality was supposed to motivate. I thought spirituality was supposed to motivate you toward your life purpose. I have no motivation for my purpose. Feeling disconnected to this 3D life. Mateo Gonzalez. Well, spirituality isn't supposed to do anything. What happens as a byproduct of spirituality is typically all of the, the benefits of healing the trauma that makes you believe that you're not whole, perfect, and complete. So it sounds like you're in the disassociation stage of the spiritual awakening, which is the beginning stage of the spiritual awakening. This is where you kind of wake up and you raise your frequency, which then becomes out of alignment with the frequency of your current life, people, places, things, friends, family, and you feel disassociated because now that foundation, that anchor of your identity has been kind of uprooted and you're not sure who the heck you are anymore. And you don't connect to any of these people in your life, maybe your job and all of that stuff. So it sounds like you're in the disassociation stage. And just because that's the beginning stage of the spiritual awakening doesn't mean that it's a short thing. Some people can be in the disassociation stage for years if they're not going within and doing the healing that gets them out of it. So as far as motivated toward your life purpose means you've done the healing that has revealed that life purpose. So that life purpose may be hidden behind unhealed trauma. So the ego may have said, oh, you can't do this because whatever, you're not good enough, or this isn't possible for you. You were born on the wrong side of the tracks. Whatever that unhealed trauma is that is in your heart, it's shackled behind fear. Unhealed trauma is in alignment with fear. So when you heal the trauma that is kind of weighing down or repressing what is in your heart will naturally want to express itself. And that's where the energy shifts from being very inwardly focused because you're doing the healing to being outwardly focused, where you're wanting to express what is in your heart. So really the question is, how do you get out of the disassociation stage? Getting out of the disassociation stage and then healing the trauma will by default make you motivated toward your life purpose. So I would say go within, do the self-discovery. Self-discovery just kind of means what resonates for you. Take a look at all different types of esoteric spiritual schools of thought and systems, see what resonates, see what doesn't resonate. And then try to go back and heal any trauma that makes you believe that you're not able to do whatever it is that you want to do. Or maybe you don't know what it is that you want to do yet, but when you heal that trauma, you'll know what you want to do and you'll know what that life purpose is. I always say the life purpose doesn't have to be something grandiose where you're changing the world. Your life purpose can literally just be you living life in peace and not in survival mode, fight or flight, which is a stressed out mode 24/7. Your life purpose may be you just speaking your authentic truth, defending your boundaries for the first time, validating yourself for the first time, approving yourself for the first time, living life on your terms for the first time, which in turn may be an example for everyone else in your circle, which might make you a better spouse or a better friend or a better sibling or whatever, a better parent. So there's a lot of benefits to you just healing the trauma that is repressing your heart and then letting your heart express itself naturally. And that's where all the peace and kind of energetic homeostasis comes from. Feeling disconnected from the 3D. I kind of said this last week, and I've made a couple of videos on this. We don't want to look at the 3D as non-spiritual because you incarnated in the 3D for spiritual evolvement. If you're coming from 24/7 non-physical eternal bliss, that's going to get boring. Sorry, it just is. Hey, let's incarnate into this place called Earth, where all this crazy 3D physical stuff is going on, which is the complete opposite frequency of what we're experiencing now, right? And so that actually becomes a spiritual path because you incarnated into it to grow spiritually. In other words, you're getting a deeper understanding of what your true essence actually is by living through the physical contrast of what your true essence is not. This is called knowledge through experience. This is gnosis. So let's not call certain things spiritual and not spiritual. The 3D is also spiritual because you incarnated into it to grow spiritually. Mateo, does that help at all? Oh, looky here. Aliyah Ramen. I'm aware of places that give me more joy and resonate so deeply, but I second guess because I acknowledge I have relational trauma. Well, Aliyah, we have a little tradition on the Lightways stream here, and that is to do an oracle pull for anyone that does a super chat. So let's do a little oracle pull and see what the cards say for you today. What do you say? Let's have a little fun. All right. What is this going to be? Drum roll. Oh, it's upside down. Hang on. Can I get that in the camera? Focus. Focus. You can do it. Come on. You can focus. Come on. You can focus. Oh my gosh. Hang on. So this card is happy, happy. If I can get it to focus here. Oh my gosh. All right. Ah, there we go. Happy, happy. So this is kind of interesting. This is actually really good. If you notice, she's standing on an egg, which is kind of represents the same thing as Berkano. If you guys follow the runes at all, it's kind of birthing something, and there's a key that unlocks the birth of something new, something trying to come into your life. So this is actually a very good card. Let me see if we can make this work with your question here. I'm aware of the places that give me more joy and resonate so deeply. Joy and happiness go together. So there's the first thing. But I second guess because I acknowledge I have relational trauma. What's the relational trauma? So I'll know how to what you're second guessing. So I'm aware of joy, but I second guess because of relational trauma. So are you saying that because things haven't worked out in the past, you're less trusting of a new relationship? Just kind of elaborate a little bit on that a little bit. Yes, fun. The 3D playground. Yes. I think there's a little delay. Oh, here we go. I'm second guessing about moving to a new city. Things have not worked out in the place I am currently living. Um, well, there's still a lot of detail that goes with that. I would say what is the part that's second guessing? Is it the heart or is it the ego? So you're going to know the difference because the ego is going to have a lot of survivalistic type of concerns. How are we going to survive there? Is anyone going to like us? That type of stuff. The heart is going to be more like, I've outgrown this place. I feel like the new city is more in alignment with my authenticity and my frequency and my vibe. And I'm going to go to this new city and make it work. So, um, and if we're looking at this card, happy, happy, you're unlocking, there's something to be unlocked there. There's something that's trying to be birthed that you have the key to unlock. And when you do that, you're going to be happy, happy. Look at those balloons. Those balloons represent celebration, right? This person is dancing on top of what they have now unlocked. So it kind of sounds like the cards are saying, follow your heart to the new city. If your heart is saying that's where you want to go, just make sure that it's not not an escapism type of thing with the ego, because the ego tends to say, well, this is hard for me here. Let's just escape to a new city and things will be easier. The problem with that is it may not be the city. It may be some inner work that you need to do. And then that would fix what's happening in the city, if that's what's going on. I don't know where you are in your spiritual journey or your healing journey. But just make sure that it's not the ego trying to escape, because if whatever is causing the issue where you are is not healed, you're going to experience the same thing in the new city. So you got to change in here first, and then what's around you will change. And that really is just probably going to come down to whatever unhealed trauma is in alignment with that relational trauma. I'm assuming when you say relational trauma, you mean relationship trauma. So if you're having relationship trauma, then there might be unhealed trauma that's related to that. I don't know if that's what you mean by relational trauma. Oh, good. I feel that the cards are totally resonating with the feeling with my heart. Okay, good. As there is a feeling of joy. Your guidance was beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Leah. I appreciate the donation as well, my friend. Love to try to do a little divination to give some extra insight. 11 minutes. All right, let me try to, I think we got one more, don't we? Yes. Okay. So Matt May, or me, I'm not sure how you say his name. Matt Me says, daily practices, judgment, and keeping a high vibration. I really think this is common. This is a common occurrence amongst the community. Daily practices, judgment, and keeping a high vibration. Okay, so, well, first of all, as far as daily practices, you guys know I'm going to just be all over meditation. I cannot hammer that home enough. You've got to hone your ability to be able to go within and generate that frequency of sovereignty, that frequency of all-knowing power and divinity. All of that is within you. That's your spiritual DNA. That's what you are. And it's within it. It may be behind the veil of the ego, but it's still there if you learn to go within. So I can't speak enough about daily meditation. Um, there's a lot of confusion around meditation because a lot of people, they think that you just do it to kind of clear your mind and sit there with an empty mind, and then you're sitting there with an empty mind, and now what? I know that that's an actual practice, where you're supposed to clear your mind. For me, my personal opinion is that's a waste of mind power, because you're in a frequency where you can program your mind, and if you're wasting it just sitting there idly thinking of nothing, then you're wasting good programming time where you can program your mind, which means you're programming your identity. It's your identity that connects to the quantum field and determines what you experience. So if your identity is full of affirmations, I am absolute love, I am absolute abundance, I am absolute health, I am source, I am eternal, I am unbreakable. If that's what you're programming into your subconscious frequency, then you're actually using um, that mental space to transform your identity into what you actually want to experience in your physical world. And I just wanted to kind of put that out there, because I'll have a lot of people respond to me in comments or emails. Well, I'll meditate and I'll do what they say. They say to just clear your mind, and then I try to sit there with a clear mind, and I'm like, well, what's the point now? The point is not to sit there with a clear mind. The point is to clear out the monkey mind, which are the thoughts that have nothing to do with the present moment, uh, and then access the theta brainwave state, which is the brainwave state of the subconscious. And this is where we program the identity. Self promotion time, learn how to meditate, either one on one with me or with the digital course. I can teach you this. But so daily practice, meditation by far number one. When you're getting centered, the mind is not off into some future scenario. Fear mongering, this is where anxiety comes from. So, when you learn to get centered in the present moment, your anxiety melts away and you reprogram your identity to experience what you want to experience. So, daily practice, meditation, have a gratitude practice. Gratitude is a sub frequency of the love frequency. The love is the dominant frequency of source. You're getting into that source frequency, into the gratitude frequency. This is a very open, allowing, receptive, expanding energy, which the universe loves. This usually puts you into the vortex, as Abraham Hicks likes to say, where everything is just happening for you, right? Gratitude practice. And I think it's always good to have a good grounding practice. Get out in nature. Take your shoes off. Put your bare feet into the grass or into a stream. Take a hike. Do something creative, whether it be with the arts or writing a song or a musical instrument or a poem, whatever. And try not to take life so seriously. Try to squeeze in one little thing for your inner child. What did you used to do as a kid that used to make you happy? It could be as simple as riding a bike. Go ride a bike. Or I used to draw all the time. Okay, great. Get out a pen and paper and just draw. It might look like a stick figure, but your when your inner child is amused and happy, your inner child is not scared and feeling unsafe and in survival, fight, or flight. This does wonders for keeping you grounded and not in that survivalistic kind of frame of mind where you don't feel safe. This keeps you from catastrophizing. A lot of people have issues with catastrophizing. This keeps you in a good, grounded, centered state. So, meditation, gratitude, grounding, inner child, daily practice. Judgment. Well, he didn't expound on what do you mean by, so you mean judging other people or being judged? Um, well, I guess the answer would be the same. Everybody is on their path, and only that person's higher self knows what that reason is, why they're on their path, the reason they incarnated. And depending on how awake they are, the surface mind may also know the reason that they decided to incarnate. But again, you have to be doing your spiritual practice and be awake for that. But that person's path is that person's path. Moreover, that person is source having a physical experience. It's not our place to say why that person is doing whatever they're doing, which, probably means that whatever that person is doing is in opposition to our morals and our beliefs and our, whatever we hold to be true. But that's still source having a physical experience as that person. You got to understand that the ego is like a fingerprint. Everyone's ego is unique. So no one's ego is the same. There's, of course, there's archetypes. Oh, this type of ego has NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, or this type of ego has abandonment trauma, or whatever. There's archetypes, but there has never been there's never been an ego that has had the exact lineage of your parents that you chose before deciding to incarnate, where the exact same things have happened on this linear physical time-space reality that has all culminated to make up your perspective of the world. That's very unique to your ego specifically. Well, what does that mean? That means source gets to experience life through a very unique lens that it can't experience through anybody else. This is how source always gets a unique perspective on its own physical creation, because everyone's ego, how everyone views the world, is completely unique. So I say that to say that we don't judge other people because they're on that timeline for whatever reason they chose to decide it, for whatever reason they chose to incarnate. And that's not our thing, or our responsibility, or our place to judge. Now, when you say judgment, if you also mean worried about being judged, you do you. No one has any authority to judge what you're doing. I mean, obviously, unless you're hurting other people, then the law gets involved. But I mean, if you're not hurting others and you're doing your thing, that's you. So I wouldn't worry about being judged. Nobody can walk your path for you. No one can eat your food for you. You have to walk that path. And keeping a high vibration. We got to talk about keeping a high vibration. There's this concept that you're not spiritual if you're not keeping a high vibration. Yeah, a high vibration feels good, but when you make a high vibration the goal, you're really falling into the ego, because if you don't hit that goal, then all of a sudden you're not spiritual now. You're not a spiritual person now just because you're not high vibe. And then the ego views that as a failure. Oh, you're not as spiritual as you thought you were. You're not doing the work. You're not as healed as you thought you were. You got upset about this thing over here. Having a high vibe is going to be a byproduct of your daily spiritual practice. So we don't make high vibe the goal. High vibe just becomes the byproduct of our daily spiritual practice, being centered, meditating, identifying as perfect, whole, and complete, trying to heal our trauma, walking in unity consciousness, seeing our fellow human as an extension of ourself, seeing our fellow human as an extension of source. Coming from that accepting non-dualistic aspect, by default is going to put you into a higher frequency, because that's coming from a higher state of consciousness. So let's not make certain things a goal as far as being spiritual or not spiritual. It's all spiritual because source is all things, and we incarnated into the physical for spiritual evolvement. So everything is spiritual. But as soon as we start to label things, That's where the ego can step in and say, you're not as spiritual as you thought you were. Tis, 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 you're not doing the work. You're too spiritually mature to be thrown off of your game like this. You're acting very 3D. Don't fall into that. The whole thing is a learning opportunity. We incarnated into the physical to learn and to experience, and that's part of the spiritual journey. So don't make high vibe the goal. High vibe just is a byproduct of being spiritual, staying on your spiritual practice on the daily. Matt, I hope that answered your question. If you're in the chats, let me know. Oh, we got super chats going on here. Let's see here. Katrina Hughes. What is up, Katrina Hughes? I know Katrina Hughes is in England. Katrina Hughes must want an oracle pick. What we got going on here? Hopefully we can get the focus this time. What do the cards say? What does the oracle of all knowledge say to Katrina? Let's see, I can do this. Serendipity. Ooh, I like it. Oh, look at that number 8. Okay. So 1 is divinely initiated, and 8 is obviously abundance. Serendipity. I'm sensing some serendipitous abundance on your timeline, Katrina. So this means that you are, oh, and by the way, that's a 4-leaf clover, right? What does that mean? Luck. So you've got some good luck on the way, and it's from source because there's the 1 and 8. So I would say you've got some serendipitous financial abundance on your timeline, Katrina Hughes. So keep a lookout for that. And what that means is you are vibrationally aligned to experience that. I always like to say, what do the signs say? So a lot of times, and this kind of goes back to that last question, when I see something that's contrast to my inner belief, I always like to say, what do the signs say? The signs tell you where your energy is. The signs tell you what you're energetically aligned to experience as long as you keep that same energy. So this is where it gets interesting with like tarot pulls or oracle pulls. As long as you keep that same energy, that's what you're guaranteed to experience, no matter what you're seeing in the physical, because what you're seeing in the physical is just the result of past thoughts that have now manifested. It doesn't necessarily reflect your current energy, but the signs always reflect your current energy. So when you guys see like repeating numbers, angel signs, angel numbers, a white feather is magically on your head, that's your current state of energy that you're guaranteed to experience as long as you keep that frequency. That's a long-winded way of saying, Katrina, stay in that energy and you're going to get some unexpected abundance. Let me know if that resonates. Oh, we got another one here. Miss Emily. Hey, Emily, how are you, my friend? Just a token gift, just because. Much love and gratitude. Well, Emily, I appreciate you. We are going to give you a oracle pull here. Let's see what we got. Thank you for your all's generosity. I appreciate it. These are always fun. You guys always have such good energy. Let's see here. Ooh, not for you. Number 6. All right, we got a chessboard and a fortune cookie in the middle. So chessboard usually represents some type of a strategic game going back and forth between two people. And not for you might mean that you're not supposed to be involved in whatever little game that this person is playing. Now, the thing about six typically means that you're focused too much on the material. So it could mean money. You're too focused on the money aspect of things or the material aspect of things. and you're not focused on the bigger picture or the love aspect of things or the source aspect of things. You're too distracted by the physical. Too distracted by the material. So that's usually what 6 means. So there's some type of game, maybe some type of a strategic game someone is playing with you that is not for you, and you're too focused on that, and it's time to take a step back from that, get out of that situation, and just focus on being a better you, basically. Let me know if that resonates. I'd be very curious to see if that resonates. Oh boy, we got all kinds of stuff popping off in the in the chats here. I love my community. I love you, Light Fam. Thank you guys. Let's see what we got here. Heyoka says, wish I knew why I chose my parents. That is typically your parents will have a very specific type of trauma that the healing through which will put you on the path of your life purpose. That's usually the reason. So let me know if that resonates with you, if that helps. Katrina says, love it. Thank you, David. Awesome. Weirdly, yes, it does resonate. Okay, awesome. Is that Emily Grannerly? I think we did I think we did a couple of calls. I'm not sure if you're the same Emily, but I'm glad that let me know if you are. Let me know if that resonated. I appreciate that. That's awesome. We love you, David. Light Fam rocks. Thank you, David. Yes, my parents hated voices in music, and I am a vocalist. Interesting. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, so you had to heal through that to find your life purpose. Boom. Funny how that works, huh? I missed all kinds of stuff, didn't I? Deep Woods says, yes, heart or ego. Sometimes ego masquerades as heart, but I think you can notice that ego and heart have different energy signatures and feels in the body. For sure, yeah. Because the heart's language is always going to be feeling. So you can feel into the feeling. You can intuitively perceive what does that feeling in here say to you. Whereas the ego, the ego is kind of like a lawyer. The ego is going to argue for that unhealed trauma. The ego is going to rationalize why that unhealed trauma needs to be validated. It's going to rationalize why you need to do X, Y, and Z so that unhealed trauma is validated. So that's typically how you can tell. Because there's going to be immediate vibrational dissonance because your heart is like, no, that's absolutely not what you should do. You're going to do it anyway because you're listening to your ego, which you shouldn't. But this is where the spiritual practice comes in. The more that you misalign with that unhealed trauma, the less you listen to that unhealed trauma and do what it tells you to do. Deidre Bolton. Hi, Deidre Bolton. I don't think I've seen you before. Welcome, my friend. I can really connect to my inner self at home, alone, etc. But at work, there's so many egos flying around. I go back to my old ways. I don't know when you tuned in, but that was actually the very first question. That was the very first comment that we addressed. And I actually made that comment, the collective, because so many people responded with that one. So yeah, 3-second rule. Go back and watch the first part of the stream. I talk about the 3-second rule. Oh my God, love. How do you go about feeling unmotivational when you're awakening? That was that didn't we just do that one? Let's see. Where are we here? That was Mateo, right? Who didn't feel motivated towards his life purpose. And my answer with that one was that motivation is an outward energy. Outward energy will naturally, so inward energy, when you're doing the inner work and the healing, will naturally switch to outward energy when that motivation that was locked in your heart underneath unhealed trauma or underneath whatever makes you believe that you can't do what you really want to do is healed, and that energy turns to outward energy. So that would be healing any trauma that makes you believe you can't do what you want to do. And then the motivation is a byproduct of that, because your heart naturally wants to express itself. That's the natural tendency of the heart, to express itself. Fear is the barrier to expression. So usually when the heart is not expressing itself, there's some fear there somewhere, which usually means unhealed trauma. Keisha, my style is, hey, Keisha, how are you, my friend? Thank you for answering my question the other day. You really went deep. Nice. Okay. Yeah, that was on the last one, right? Okay. Yeah, I remember that one. Awesome. I'm glad that that helped. Sylvia Gania. I believe you're in Germany, right? If I remember correctly, if you're who I'm thinking of. David, can I ask something about what is going on with the energies this time? Yeah, the energies is pretty, or they're pretty crazy at this point. Um, you know, we're all, so this is the age of awakening, and we've been going through a lot of these changes for a while. And I really want to say that really amped up around 2013. It's been happening for a minute. It's just the collective, as well as Mother Gaia as a sentient being that is purging what is no longer of service, what is no longer serving. So a lot of the old archaic structures are falling away. That's a purging process. A lot of the things that are keeping the collective down, keeping Mother Gaia down as a sentient being, those things are being purged because they're no longer needed. It's an evolution, it's an upgrading. And so that's going to feel very chaotic, especially on the physical body, because your physical body is 63% water, which is an amazing conductor of energy, as well as your inner energy body is intertwined with your physical body. So yeah, you're going to feel it, but so ascension symptoms basically, but stay grounded, stay present, do your grounding exercises. If you're not in a place where you can get out in nature, you can buy what's called an earthing mat, and you can place your bare feet on this earthing mat, and it has the same process as getting out into nature in your bare feet. Basically, you have a bunch of positive excess ions, positive ions. The earth, or the earthing mat, is full of negative ions, so it kind of drains those positive ions, and then you soak in from the bottom of your feet the negative ions to kind of give you that homeostasis. So yeah, if you're feeling these crazy energies, stay grounded. All right, guys. Well, we are 14 minutes over. Let me go back, see if first. Did I miss any questions? You guys have anything? I feel like I have to sneeze. Woodley, the planet energy changed dramatically recently. I don't know about dramatically. I see a lot of people that are posting that. I feel like it's something that's been going on for a while. So, but yeah, there's definitely changes happening. Katrina Hughes, I threw an energy ball into the live stream. Did anyone feel anything? Awesome. Uh, Katrina, aren't you level 1 Reiki? Something like that. Didn't you take a Reiki class, if I remember correctly? Did anyone feel Katrina's energy? Her high vibe and light energy? Heyoka says, wow, I've not heard of an earthing mat. Yeah, you can grab them on Amazon. I use one to meditate, so I put my feet on it when I meditate. But you can sleep on them. You can put them in your bed. They're really good for deflammation. So not so if you're inflamed, it's good for curing inflammation. There we go. It's good for curing inflammation. So if you've and inflammation is the cause behind disease. So this is like a miracle cure if you're always sleeping on an earthing mat. Yes, I did level 1 a while back. Nice. Schedule that level 2 so we can see Katrina 2.0 come in here with those more powerful energy vibes. Andrea, thank you, David. Much appreciated for your time and wisdom. I appreciate you stopping by, Andrea. Sending love and light your way. All right, guys. Let's see. 16 past. Anyone have one last final question before we end another high vibing live stream? Going once, going twice. Who's high vibing in the live chat? Love this live again. Love to you and the Light Fam. Awesome. All right. When is the next one? Yeah, so the lives are going to be every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. So we'll do that every week. Coley, my man, what's up, brother? Oh, yeah, I have to. I've been getting a bunch of notices from you guys that are taking the course. I guess you guys are leaving the comments, but Teachable wants me to approve the comments so that they're on each little video lesson. So I haven't forgotten about you guys. I will approve your comments that you've been leaving under each video lesson so that your comments post. I know Coley left some comments on the course. I appreciate you stopping by, Coley. Woodley says, thanks, David. I appreciate what you do. We'll be in touch. Namaste. Lou Kaiser, thank you, David. Namaste, everyone. Okay, guys, I guess that is a wrap. Another high vibing, lightweight stream. I love all of you guys. See you next week. Namaste.